Hey, what's going on, peeps? Derek back, bringing you another It Came From the 80s. I thought you weren't going to be hearing that this month at all, I bet. But I decided to do one because the film I'm doing today is not a horror film. And it's a film I hold dear. It's actually a film I have seen before. But I just watched the new Blu-ray from Arrow Video. And I had to talk about it because it's an outstanding film and I really love it. And it should be seen by everyone that loves film and film in general. So this one goes out for more of my non-horror fans. But if you are a film lover and you still love film and you love to check out other films, especially films like this one I'm going to talk about, I say stick around for the review. What I got from you today is a film from 1986. It was produced by Handmade Films. If you don't know what Handmade Films is, it's a studio that was run by George Harrison, aka the quiet one from the Beatles. They made a few films in this time period, including this one I'm going to talk about, The Long Good Friday, and Time Bandits, and the Monty Python film, The Life of Brian. That was the films that I know they made. They probably made more, but I'm not sure. Those are the ones I've seen that I know that George Harrison's produced and financed under the Handmade Films insignia. This film was directed by Neil Jordan and stars Bob Hoskins from Who Framed Roger Rabbit, Super Mario Brothers, Hook, a whole bunch of films. He was in the Unleashed film with Jet Li, awesome actor. Stars also Kathy Tyson, who I recognize from Wes Craven's Serpent and the Rainbow. She was in that film. Robbie Coltrane, if you don't know who Robbie Coltrane is, he's from, if you're a fan of the Harry Potter films at all, he played Hagrid in those films. He was the guy who, in the first one, took Harry to Hogwarts and sort of became like his friend throughout the series. And it also stars Academy Award winner Michael Caine. Of course, Michael Caine from millions of films. Awesome films. Powerhouse, Michael Caine. And the film I have in question is Mona Lisa. Main plot of this one is you follow our main character of George, who's played by Bob Hoskins. He just got out of prison after 7 years. When we first meet George, he's going to visit his ex-wife and daughter. That doesn't go out so well for him at all, and he ends up getting yelled at in the street and ridiculed, and his daughter doesn't want nothing to do with him. And pretty much George then goes to his best friend Tom, played by Robbie Coltrane, talks it out with him and tries to calm him down. And then he goes to visit his boss, Mortwell, played by Michael Caine, but he's not there at the moment when he goes there. But his one of his workers is, and he tells him that to George that Mortwell has a job for him to do as a favor for his time served, per se, because he didn't open his mouth or rat on Mortwell. He just did his time, and like good, like in Gangsta Zoo and stuff. And the job, so he takes the job because he needs the money, of course. And what the job is he has to chauffeur a high-end prostitute around the gritty streets of London to her clients, pretty much. And he meets the prostitute in name, and her name is Simone, and she's played by Kathy Tyson's character. And at first they don't click at all. Like, she's like ridiculing his clothes. Why are you wearing that? And he's like yelling at her and stuff, and they don't click at first. He actually doesn't want to take the job, but he actually sees his boss, Mortwell, at one of the hotels that Simone's clients at, and he's like, you got to take this job because there's some bigger scheme that I won't really get into because I want you to really watch this film. So what happens is, after a while, he continues to take the job, of course, because he needs the money and he doesn't want to piss off Mortwell because he could probably get whacked. What happens is they end up like getting close with each other and like friendship, like they get friendly. And then what happens, pretty much, you can tell like in scenes, George actually has feelings for Simone in a better way. He actually starts falling in love with her. So what happens is Simone asks George for a favor. I want to say it's like a half hour into the film or 45 minutes into the film. And the favor is she wants him to help her find one of her friends who's also a prostitute who got lost from like an old pimp that she used to work with. So George agrees and he decides to go search for this girl through the gritty streets of London. And it's actually a great montage. It's to the Genesis song "Into Deep," where he goes through like different like peep shows and prostitution like rings and stuff. Really interesting like montage scene. And what happens is there's a great like cat and mouse game going on throughout the film. George is trying to figure her out. He thinks his boss is in on this, what's going on, and it ends with this like the thrilling climax at the very end of the film, which is really well done. I forgot to mention, if you don't know who Neil Jordan is, the director of this film, he went on to direct bigger films after this one. This is like the one that got him to make other films. He went on to direct The Crying Game, Interview with the Vampire, In Dreams. And his latest film, you probably all seen the other vampire film he directed, Byzantium, which is all solid films. And In Dreams is kind of hit and miss, but they're all solid and have their own moments in those films. So he has a pretty solid like library of films after this film. Now my thoughts on this one: it's really well directed. The cinematography is amazing. The acting is superb. The chemistry between Bob Hoskins and Kathy Tyson is some of the best acting I have ever seen in a film. Like the emotion they show in one scene in particular, where they have an argument near the end of the film, and Kathy Tyson asks Bob Hoskins' character, "What do you want?" And Bob Hoskins answers, and he like starts to sob. "I just want to be needed." I think it's along those lines. I don't remember that line from line, but it's just a really heartfelt scene, and you feel for Bob Hoskins' character because he's always been like this tough gangster type, and this is the most human he's ever been to a person. And yeah, and then Michael Caine, like he only appears in like I think it's 3 to 4 scenes throughout the film, but he's always good, and he's really good in this film. He's like the scumbag boss type and sleazy, and like the last scene where you see him, it's very memorable. I'm not going to ruin it, but it goes back to the beginning when George first met him. It's actually kind of funny when you see the film. When you first see him in the introduction to the final scene of the film, it's really good. Robbie Coltrane's good in this film as Thomas, his friend. And yeah, and it's like, it's nothing much like more I could say. I could talk about this film forever. I really truly love this film. Bob Hoskins is amazing in this, and it's sad that we lost such a great actor, and he should be remembered. And this is a great way to remember him with the Arrow Blu-ray of Mona Lisa. It's just an awesome release. I know this film has been released before in the States. Anchor Bay, Criterion, and Image released it, but those versions are all out of print and very hard to find. And I owned a few of them in my past, and the The Criterion was probably the best one, but I wasn't gonna pay, like, I think it was going for $90. Arrow's version is probably the best this film has ever looked, and it's really well done, and it has some awesome special features, like there's a commentary with Neil Jordan and Bob Hoskins, which I think is from the Criterion, but I'm not sure. But either way, it has like new interviews with Neil Jordan and a few of like the other guys that were involved in the film. So if I had to rate Mona Lisa, which I'm just gonna tell you straight out, it's a perfect film for me. It's a 10 out of 10. I highly recommend everyone grab Mona Lisa if you like these type of films, or if you're a fan of Bob Hoskins' work and acting. And this review goes out to Bob Hoskins, rest in peace. I hope you guys enjoyed this review. I know it's running a little long, but I have a lot to talk about this film because I truly love it. So, I'm just gonna end it right here. 10 out of 10 for Mona Lisa. Highly recommend. Pick it up. Alright guys, that's it for this It Came the 80s special. I'll be back after Halloween with some more cooler reviews. I hope you enjoyed this one. Like, subscribe, and comment if you've seen Mona Lisa and want to ask questions about the film. Hope you enjoyed this review, guys. Check you later. Peace out.